that going. Hey, welcome those who are coming in from the waiting room. If you just jumped on here, if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat box, your name and what business you work for, we'll do some introductions that way. See if we get a few more jumping on here. Hi, Craig, welcome. Keep checking the.
Hi, Clayton. Hi, Kevin.
I do see Clayton. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning.
I'm hoping we had several more that had registered, so hoping they will jump on here very soon.
We can go ahead and get started with some of the preliminaries, and maybe by the time we get started with the content, they will have joined. Does that sound like a good plan?
That sounds like a good plan. Yeah, let me go ahead and sorry, there we go. We would like to run through just a couple of the chamber events we have coming up soon. We've done a whole bunch, so our list is shrinking right now on how many events we have, but it never stays that way for long. But we have a big one coming up in a few weeks, Flavor of Wayne County. It will be on Friday, May 19th, starting at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. This is the food lovers event. Not just food lovers, but if you love food, it is the event to be at for sure. We have several chamber member restaurants and caterers who will be offering samples of food at this event. And when I say samples, you do not leave hungry either. Reid, our host for today with Tajuan, Reid Catering is one of them. And I think last year they were almost full-size burgers anyways. So this is a wonderful event. We are moving it not away from the parking garage. It's going to be at the Star Jeanette building, but we plan to be outside there in case, except in the case of rain, and then we'll move it inside the building. But hoping for a very nice evening out under the stars down there in the gorge area. Tickets are on sale now. They're $25 each. After I get through this part, I will drop some links in the chat box if you would like to get registered for this event. Be sure to buy your tickets soon and join us that night. I didn't mention we have some live music, a duo coming from Indianapolis. So excited to have them. The name of their band is Nate plus Mate, because the mate, he is Chris and he's Australian. So should be a really good evening. Again, I'll drop the link to purchase tickets in the chat box here in just a moment. Next up, I wanted to mention Chamber Golf Classic is coming up on June 2nd out at Forest Hills. Our registration for our partners is open now. And if you are not a chamber partner, it will be open to you on Monday the 8th. So registration is in the process or will be going very soon. You can let me know if you want to have a team from your business in. We do offer an AM and a PM round, so you can let me know which you prefer. And it's a really nice day out on the golf course at beautiful Forest Hills. One more thing I wanted to share was just to save the date. I figured with the group we would have on here, it might be a good idea to mention the date of our Chamber Business Summit will be October 13th. So it's a ways away now, but a good idea to go ahead and save that date on your calendar. And please make plans to join us for that event. And that's all I have, Melissa. I'll pass it back to you.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you all taking a little bit of your time today to join us. I think that you will be pleased that you did. There will be some outstanding information coming from one of our friends over at Reid, Tajuan Stoker. Tajuan has over 20 years of experience in wellness program development and serves as the Director of Wellness Services for Reid Health. He's devoted 12 years to developing and implementing programs throughout the local community. At Reid, Tajuan leads multiple departments, including medical fitness, sports performance, massage therapy, wellness department, and HealthWorks Fitness Center. During this time, Tajuan has worked with many local companies and organizations like yours to provide wellness services such as health fairs, health coaching, on-site biometric screenings, massage therapy, etc. He also serves as a chair of the Reid Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. With that, I know that wellness programs often are things that we wish our companies had, and we don't necessarily take time to work through the process of getting them up and running, but we have seen with many of our chamber members that once they have wellness programs going, their employee satisfaction is better, their attendance is better, their healthcare costs are lower. So with all of those things in mind, we wanted to bring this topic to you, and no better person than Tajuan to do the speaking for that. So Tajuan, I am going to turn this over to you.
Okay.
And I'm also going to give you permission that anybody who keeps their camera off, you can just call on them anytime. Make sure
good.
that they
Thank
don't, they didn't leave the room, or, you know, we want to have a little fun. So
Gotcha. I'll definitely call on that Craig Towns guy that's on there. So
yeah,
just for the fun of it.
he's an iffy one.
Yeah. All right, let me try to share my screen here. Give me 1 second to get this all set, and then we can kind of go into this. But as Melissa said, Tajuan Stoker, I direct all the wellness services for Reid Health, and it's been a pleasure to do so over the years, and really excited to have the opportunity to present this information to you. So hopefully you're seeing my screen now. I'm going to try to put it into a format where you can actually see it a little bit better. So let me know if you can see that. Yep. Okay. Very good. So we'll go ahead and get started. Not a lot of slides to get through, but for those individuals that have joined, if you have any questions, since it's such a intimate group, I would say, you can feel free to ask those questions, throughout the presentation, or wait to the end, as a custom. So we already went through the kind of the bio already, and so I won't touch on that anymore. But my experience has been through other hospital systems and some of the more major brands that you've probably heard on out there, Kroger Foods and Lazada Retail, those type of companies. So that my experience has been with some of those organizations as well. And that's really where I really started, really getting involved in wellness and wanting to learn a bit more about wellness. And then that brings me here to Reid, where I've been here for over 12 years. In September this year will be 13 years. So just really happy with the work that we're doing at Reid, but also the work that we're also doing in the community to help with wellness also. So I can't say I can do all this stuff on my own, of course. We have a great team of individuals that go out and help with some of the corporate wellness pieces. You'll see Jenny on there, who's over our rehab services, Randy, who's director of telehealth and occupational medicine, Carrie Maloney, who is Director of Business Development, and then also Craig Towns, who's our Manager of Outreach and Program Development. And so with this team, I would say this is an A+ team that works alongside you as an employer to make sure that we offer the right wellness offerings to you and your organization. So let's go ahead and just jump into this. So when we think about wellness programs, depending on where you are in life, wellness programs used to look like this back in the day. So if you're able to recognize any of the individuals that are listed on this slide, then you got some time out there in the wellness world, I would say. And then also some of those different brands that are up there too. That was truly some of the first attempts at wellness. And then, as time went on, of course, those things evolved. It evolved into things like wealth management and wealth or health and wellness type of wellness programming, where you have on-site blood measuring and blood screenings and health fairs to truly what we're really focusing on quite a bit nowadays with mental health awareness and also mental health wellness. And then you see the little watch that's on there too. Individuals love the devices and tracking the devices, as you can actually see Lynette actually has on her arm, which is one of those wearable devices. So I think when you look at the evolution of wellness, it has changed quite a bit. When considering wellness programming, there's always going to be organizations that come to employers and say, hey, we can do one program better than another. One of the biggest things that you have to keep in mind is that programming needs to be built upon your organization and the culture of your organization too. If it's not built upon that, then they're just giving you a canned approach that possibly is not going to work for your organization. Okay. So when you're thinking about this, you also have to consider basically really what is the point of employee wellness programming. When it comes to employee wellness, it actually helps your employees proactively and encourages them to a healthier lifestyle overall. It changes their attitudes about health and wellness by just completely having them understand, all the ins and outs about wellness and how wellness services actually affect their lifestyle overall. At the hospital with my team, we practice and discuss with other individuals about wellness on an ongoing basis daily. And one of the first things that we tell people is that we're that first line of defense for them to stay away and truthfully stay away from being sick and keeping them healthy through wellness programs. Other piece is it helps employees become more aware of their physical and mental health. Everybody's not going to jump in and want to change right away. Sometimes it takes years to actually get individuals to change. On average, you're going to start seeing change within the organization, major change in the organization 3 years after a wellness program is implemented. It's not a plug and play type of thing. Year one, individuals are starting to recognize and understand that they need to pay more attention to their health and wellness overall. Year two, they're starting to truly start putting it in perspective of their lifestyles and starting to make some significant changes. And then year three, that's when you start seeing some of those results starting to take place. And then as you continue on with the wellness programs and initiatives, you start seeing more and more improvement throughout your workforce. It gives employers the opportunity to show that they actually care, and it helps them educate them about the importance of adopting a healthy lifestyle. As HR individuals and as individuals that are in the professional workforce, you're at a point right now where you're trying to keep employees and get employees and recruit employees. And this is one way of doing it, by actually showing those employees that you actually care about them. Again, I'll jump back to the slides that I presented earlier that had the individuals from the past, like Richard Simmons and those individuals on it. At that time period, it wasn't so much about the mental piece of wellness, but now individuals want to understand that you care about them and that the organization cares about them. And that gives you a leg up by doing wellness programs. It makes staff more alert and aware, thus decreasing certain accidents at your organization. And lastly, a healthy workforce makes for a present and productive workforce. So if you are looking at ways of trying to increase your productivity, wellness programming has been proven and shown that it actually does that. Now, you may be saying, oh, those are nice things to have, but what about the cost savings? What about the financial pieces of it? Those things come along. They definitely do. So if you look at this slide that's here, this is just a brief example of what some of the savings could look like when it comes to wellness programming. The first one shows individuals that may have an increased body weight. 5% reduction in body weight has been shown to reduce healthcare costs by $2,137 per individual. When it comes to blood pressure, adults with uncontrolled high blood pressure face healthcare costs of $1,920 higher annually. So individuals that get that under control, you possibly could see a cost saving of that or somewhere near that. And then blood glucose, when looking at your hemoglobin A1C values, just by reducing that by 1%, healthcare costs can be saved up to $1,540 each year per individual. These are significant savings when it comes to organizations. The smaller organizations who may not have as deep pockets as larger organizations, we strongly want to encourage them to consider wellness programming. Oftentimes, the thought is that if you're a smaller organization, you can't afford certain type of wellness programs or wellness programs to be implemented. That's not the case. Definitely not the case. I would say at Reid, we have the knowledge and also the skill set and also the programming that we can offer to you to help you get some wellness programming in place. And if it's not with Reid, there are other programs out there definitely too that can help you as a smaller employer. So let's just try to discuss this a bit further. So some of the main questions that we normally get when we're discussing wellness programming with individuals is kind of, where do we begin? There's many places that they can start. Does this need to be built into our strategic initiatives overall? What about communication overall? Does it need to be communicated? And then also, how does a wellness program, the makeup of a wellness program look overall? And then I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about, what we offer at Reid, okay? So where do you begin? You gotta collect data first. Without any type of information, you just kind of shoot in the dark. And that's a waste of time for you as an organization. And also it's a waste of time for your employees if you don't collect data first and put those things in place. So when we're looking at information and collecting of data, you look at employee surveys. So asking the employees basically what they want. Asking them how do they feel about wellness programming and putting in their specific examples of different type of wellness programs that could work for your organization. And furthermore, truly getting their opinions and their thoughts about their lifestyles, about their families' lifestyles, and so on. Beyond that, asking department leadership about their feelings on wellness programs too. You definitely want to sit down with those individuals because they're going to be the ones that are going to help drive the initiatives throughout the organization, and they should be driving the initiatives throughout your organization. Aggregate claims data. So one thing that we suggest early on is biometric screenings for organizations. So that way, where your organization is in aggregate, and then the individual understands where they are with their individual results too. If they don't understand where they are, if they don't understand what their values are at that moment, it won't make one difference to them. They just feel like they're just doing this just to do it, but they need to have a direct understanding of what their values are. aggregate EAP data. So if we're talking about the mental health piece, if we're talking about stress management, trying to get some information that focuses on aggregate information when it comes from your employee assistance programs, and data from local health systems or health departments. So even if there's not a biometric screening process going on, even getting some information about the service area or the area that you're actually in. For example, if there's a high prevalence of diabetes or blood pressure within the immediate area, then you know that your population, your employee population is part of that population too. And so that data can help influence the implementation of a wellness program. After that, after just collecting the information, you definitely want to evaluate the data too. So you're looking for areas or conditions that are making the most impact on your population. So those things that stand out. Some organizations try to tackle everything at one time period. We don't suggest that. We suggest that you break things down and look at small areas at a time. So if you see that blood pressure is an issue, then how are you going to tackle blood pressure? You know, how are you going to communicate it to your population? What initiatives are you going to put in place to help affect and also decrease the prevalence of increased blood pressure? And then if the information is positive or negative, you want to make sure you still look at that information and you still communicate it with the rest of your population. So as I mentioned, this needs to be something that's built into your strategic plan. If you're doing it on this, just off the side of your desk, we think that's great. But if you wanted to stay around for a while, you need it to be a part of your strategic plan moving forward. So if it's not built into your company's plan, it will soon become an afterthought for most individuals. The whole wellness strategy does not have to be put in there, but you do need to have some phases in there, something that at least says that we're going to implement a wellness program in X year or from this year to the next year. It doesn't have to be highly detailed, but if you have the opportunity to make it detailed, that's great. But the mentioning of it itself in your strategic plan is very helpful to your organization. So that way you will know which direction to go moving forward. The wellness strategy must include the following components for each initiative. So objectives, so it has to have the focus area and the objectives mentioned in it. And it has to have it actually listed in order for your initiatives to actually move forward. So those SMART type of goals overall need to be placed in there. You need to have a plan of action with defined timelines and also identify personnel that are going to help out and it'll be a part of this whole thing. We do understand that each organization does not have a dedicated wellness resource. So many times and oftentimes organizations are utilizing the HR departments to implement wellness programs, which is a whole lot. You have a lot to consider if you are in the HR world. You're worried about keeping employees, hiring employees. You're worried about policies overall. And so you may want to look at the formation of wellness committees and also wellness councils to help implement wellness initiatives throughout your organization. You want to make sure that you have a pretty good communication plan too. So without a communication plan, which I'll talk about in the next slide, your programs won't exist. They'll go away pretty swiftly. And then you also want to continue to focus on your outcomes of your initiatives moving forward. So communication, without proper communication, there is no successful wellness program or no successful wellness approach. Marketing and communication of your wellness initiatives are key to the success of your program. You want to utilize your main communication methods, those things that you feel like and you know that get the most traction. Email is just not it by itself. Email may be a component, but if email is not a major part of your communication methods within your organization, you want to make sure you don't utilize email just for wellness programs either. Things that we've seen work rather well. Some organizations break out into different groups with their managers and actually having talking points there for the managers to discuss with their employees. Those are key things. Identifying ambassadors that may be within departments. Those are also key things too, because those ambassadors can talk about it from the ground level instead of it being such a high level approach. They can talk about it from peer to peer oftentimes. You also want to encourage leadership and also management to talk about it throughout the months, throughout the years, as often as possible, and make it easy for them to talk about it and discuss it too. Give them notes. Give them the notes already prepared about the topic, about the initiatives, about what we're trying to do, about what you're trying to do within your organization. Identify advocates, just like I talked about. So the advocates will definitely help you get things in there. And don't be afraid to share the outcomes. If your outcomes are not positive, at that moment, if you're, for example, doing biometric screenings or wellness screenings, and those numbers come back not so great, it's okay to share that information in the aggregate format. So that way the organization knows and the employees understand and know exactly where you are and the reason why you're actually implementing wellness programs. Okay. So just to kind of give you a highlight of this whole thing here, the makeup of a wellness program, there's many components to it. First one you see there is data. And again, it's the data collection piece. It's the biometric screenings piece. It's depending on multiple resources that you may have in place to actually get the data at any time period that you can. So the surveys, those type of things will actually help you put the data in place. Objectives, so you want to make sure you implement an awareness campaign that the employees can understand. Like, for example, we have here implement an awareness campaign that helps employees understand their risk levels by the end of 2023. All right, so this will be something that will be an example of awareness campaign, but there's different components to it. Is the awareness campaign going to be email? Is the awareness campaign going to be something that is going to be something that shows on each employee screen as they log into their computers, depending on the organization? Is it going to be something that's going to be discussed at every huddle that you have? So that's all part of your overall awareness campaign for your employees. Plan of action. So HR team and safety manager to partner with local care provider to implement health fairs. So that's kind of that plan of action piece. So actually putting things in place and knowing how to put things in place too. And then you have you're going to communicate it. The health fair will be communicated via email, via whatever communication type that you have in place. And then lastly, again, the outcomes piece. So all the different things that I covered with you, they're all listed here. And these are the simple pieces that actually make up a wellness program. Now, looking at this, it seems very, very simple to do these things. But there are some certain techniques that we put in place at Reid that actually helps get this in place for your organization. So if you want to take the chance to actually do this on your own, we applaud those efforts, and we think that you can definitely do it. But just make sure you have all these different components when you're implementing a wellness approach overall. The next slide, I do want to kind of show you some real life example of what a wellness program and kind of what the results look like. So this is the Reid wellness program overall. So when looking at this, this is a 3-year look back overall. It's not 1 year, it's not 2 years. But remember in the beginning, I talked about 3 years, and this is our data from a few years ago, right around when the pandemic happened. Okay, so first thing you look at there, you'll see on the left-hand side, you see the box talks about 3-year cost savings of over $1 million for the organization, or $602,670 annually. So you put this in perspective of the size of your organization and some of the things that you want to do, and you can realize the cost savings too, but you have to stay with it in order to do that. So to break it down even further, when you look at weight, number of people we had in our programming, and our programming at Reid consists of health coaching, biometric screenings, a very planned out and well communication plan with internally, champions, and also ambassadors. So all the things that I talked to you guys about, and then the awareness piece for the employees to know exactly what they need to do with their care. And so over the 3 years, we realized cost saving of $833,000. And then blood pressure, realized a cost saving of $535,000. And then blood glucose, $438,000. Now, this was a certain group that we followed over the 3 years, cohort over the 3-year time period. So it didn't include any new individuals within that cohort. But now it's pretty much close time for us to do another cohort as well, so that way we can see what their results were too. And we're feeling like they're probably going to be just as favorable as this past cohort. Okay. So I have to put a little bit of plug in there for us also at Reid. So some of the things that we offer at Reid that we can offer out to your organization, you see those things there. You see all the different wellness services that are listed there, like the on-site health screenings, lunch and learns, presentations, massage therapy, cancer-free classes, all those different things we can offer on-site at your organization at any time period. The occupational medicine pieces there, the certification programs, the outpatient rehab pieces. So that team that I showed you in the very beginning, the images of those individuals, we all work together to put together kind of a complete approach for any organization that wants to work with us and has the desire to work with us. We don't pressure anybody. We try to give you the information that you need. We're not going to oversell you. That's not our goal. And this is why this is coming from a community approach, because we definitely want to see our community and our service area become as healthy as they can, because it weighs on everybody if we don't. The last slide I have for you guys is some of our health fair offerings here, and this is kind of how it begins. It begins with things like this. We don't have multiple packages that we offer out there because we're not trying to sell you on multiple things. We try to give you exactly what you need, and you can see what's built into this health screening package that we offer there. And then any additional screenings that are also there, and then other offerings that are listed. It's up to the organization to look at these offerings and to try to figure out exactly where they want to go and where they are currently, and if they want to implement these type of programs for their employees. And remember, the key thing about this is you're helping your employees to become healthier. You're helping them become to pass on the health and wellness knowledge that they have onto their family members and then onto the community, and so on and so on, just to overall create an overall healthy community. And so that's all I had to discuss today. But I think this topic is something that is very, very important for each employer that's out there, for each person and each employee that is actually at an organization. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And I hope you found this as helpful as we do at Reid too.
Thanks, Tajuan. I want to open it up in case anybody has questions. I know I have a few things jotted down, so I'll ask one first while others are thinking, and then we'll see if anyone else has questions.
Okay.
So, and if you do have a question, you can unmute or you can type it in the chat and we'll grab that from there. So one of the questions I had for you was, can you talk a little bit about businesses that are self-insured versus fully insured, and what a wellness program might look like, and how those compare and contrast?
Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to a self-insured organization, we strongly encourage those self-insured organizations to take advantage of wellness offerings, as well as the fully insured. But when you're self-insured, you're taking on quite a bit more risk yourself when it comes to some of those things that can be preventable, like high blood pressure. When you start putting a plan in place with that, then you start improving the population overall. Then you'll start seeing some of your claims go down for ER visits, for some of those things that, and if an individual goes to the ER because maybe they have an extreme headache and they're not taking their medication on time or something like that. So I would say those companies definitely need to consider putting some type of wellness approaches in place, even if it's starting out with the basis of a communication plan or a campaign. Fully insured, oftentimes they have a large volume of wellness services that are being offered to them through their insurance providers. The hard thing about that is that sometimes you don't know which way to go with that. At the same time period, we can also assist with that too, with us giving some knowledge on what's going to be some of the best approaches for you to take. Because some of these plans and some of the information that's being offered out to some of the fully insured companies are not the best plans for you to go with. And so you have to be able to pick through those to be able to see which ones or which plan is the best thing for you.
Well, and also I would imagine the engagement piece of, a larger fully insured plan is a little more difficult than an engagement piece on a fully or a self-insured
That's
plan
true.
with a local provider.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
So how large of a company do you have to be in order to do the aggregate sharing and still be in compliance with HIPAA?
For us, we'll look at anything that's we'll say 17 individuals or higher. So we just recently, and I picked out 17 because and it could be 15 and higher. Whatever we can do to kind of hide, we want to make sure that no one's identified. That's the biggest thing. All right. So if we can show the data and show that no individuals are identified through the information that we provide, we're good to go. Now, sometimes we do pull out different pieces that you may be able to say, I know who that person is, or I may know who that person is. And then we put it through the test to ourselves, just to make sure that no individuals can be identified at all.
Great. Does anyone else have questions?
If not, that's okay too. The information for you guys to reach us is on this last slide here. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. If you have any feedback for us, we're willing to listen. If you're looking and thinking about a program that you would like to have in place, we're willing to listen to that too as well. We're consistently creating and developing approaches for our community.
One last question, Tajuan. We all know that when we're implementing new programs, there are always the naysayers as well. And so when you're putting together and launching a program in that communication side of things, how do you ensure, or what tactics have you used to ensure that your ambassadors are louder than the naysayers?
Well, sometimes those naysayers actually become the ambassadors. So because we want them to get the experience of everything, so we encourage that those naysayers, participate in wellness committees and wellness councils, and oftentimes what happens is their minds change. It may take a little bit of time for their minds to change, but they do change over time period. And then honestly, and I think you do have to be honest with yourself that some naysayers are just going to be naysayers and they may not ever change. And they're looking for something else other than progress and improvement, and so, once you come to that realization, your programs will continue to flourish. If there's an ambassador who's feeling positive about all the wellness programming and putting it in place, and they come up against a naysayer, that's okay. They still should share their information. They still should be happy to share their information because at some time period throughout their life, they may, face some type of obstacles when it comes to their health and wellness. And that individual, that ambassador that mentioned something to them, they may remember that. And then once they remember it, they may not ever come out and admit that the ambassador was correct or anything, but that knowledge and that information is still there for them.
Great answer. Well, thanks so much for your time today, and we will be sharing this out broadly with our membership. It will be on our YouTube channel and in our e-newsletter. Lynette, anything else you want to add about that?
No, well, just as you said, it'll be on our YouTube channel. Our Friday e-news on May 5th will have a link to it as well. So we will get it shared out.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Looked like you had one thing in the chat. Maybe that wasn't a question. Maybe it was just
Oh, that was the link.
Oh,
to
link,
the-
okay.
Nope, I clicked the wrong one. Yep, I dropped the link.
That's
Get
totally
tickets
fine.
for flavor. Get those tickets for flavor.
All right, well, it sounds good. Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will you hang on for just a second for a follow-up conversation, Tajuan?
Sure can.
Great. We'll stop
you
the
very much.
recording and